Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 59 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin waved his hand and the door silently opened. A tall figure wearing a rain cloak walked in. This person was covered in a thin layer of snow. He didn't say a word as he walked in. Wang Lin took a look at that person and said, "We haven't met in more than 10 years. Fellow cultivator looks the same." That person let out a laugh. He removed his cloak, revealing a very dignified face. His ears were the most conspicuous part of him. This was the large-eared cultivator, Zhu Wutai. He shook the cloak with his hand, causing all of the snow to fall off. A gentle wind carried all the snow outside. Not a single flake landed in Wang Lin's shop. He put the rain cloak to the side, then sat down on the opposite side of Wang Lin. Just as he sat down, the door silently closed. After Zhu Wutai sat down, he grabbed the jug of wine Wang Lin had on the table. He didn't use a cup and drank a big gulp directly from the jug. Wang Lin looked at Zhu Wutai. Compared to 10 years ago, there were a few more lines of wrinkles on his face. Clearly, there had been something that had caused him a lot of worry in the past 10 years. As for his cultivation, he had made some progress since 10 years ago, but was still a bit below Wang Lin. After all, the life and death domain Wang Lin experienced gave him a deeper level of understanding. After the large-eared cultivator, Zhu Wutai, finished drinking, his eyes locked onto the 3 wood carvings on the shelf. These 3 wood carvings were the 3 members of the White Cloud sect. When Zhu Wutai came 10 years ago, there were only 2, but now there was 1 more. As his eyes were locked onto the extra wood carving, a hint of surprise appeared on his face. He waved his hand and the carving flew toward him. He carefully examined the wood carving before putting it down, then looked at Wang Lin with a complicated expression. After a long time, he let out a sigh. He wryly smiled and said, "Brother Wang, you have indeed gone farther than I have. It seems I have indeed been marching in place for the past 10 years. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he waved his hand and another jug of wine appeared. He took a sip, shook his head, and said, "It was only luck." Zhu Wutai let out a sigh. He lowered his head and looked at the wood carvings as he slowly said, "Uncle Master Ching Song's passing of time domain has already been carved by you. This wood carving can already be considered a top-quality magic treasure among nascent soul cultivators. 10 years ago, Brother Wang couldn't do this, but in a mere 10 years, you improved so much. I'm impressed." Wang Lin let out a smile and said, "If you like it, I can give it to you." Zhu Wutai was startled. The complex look in his eyes became even deeper. He looked at Wang Lin and then at the carving before finally taking out a piece of jade. He gently placed it on the side and said, "Thank you." His hostility toward Wang Lin lessened a bit. To be able to just give a treasure like this away required a mentality few can have. He believed that as long as he had this wood carving, even if he wasn't able to obtain the passing of time domain, he would still be able to understand it a little. However, what he struggled with the most was how to choose. After all, the current domain he was comprehending was very far from this domain. As a result, there was some conflict. After a long time, his body shook as he looked up at Wang Lin. He once again let out a wry smile and said, "Brother Wang, I admit defeat. So please, give me another obsession to deal with. I don't want this wood carving anymore, and you can have this jade. It contains a soul formation technique." Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light as he carefully looked at Zhu Wutai. When he gifted the wood carving to Zhu Wutai, he did indeed had that hidden intent, but Zhu Wutai was able to immediately realize it and gave up on experiencing the passing of time domain to maintain his current domain. Wang Lin rarely met people like this. He smiled and nodded. "If that is the case, then I won't tempt you anymore." With that, he picked up the jade and scanned it with this divine sense. Then he calmly placed it to the side. Zhu Wutai reluctantly forced his eyes to move away from the wood carving. His face darkened as he said, "Brother Wang, have you noticed anything strange about this snow?" Wang Lin pondered a little. He looked at the jug of wine in his hand and said, "This snow is not natural." Zhu Wutai's eyes lit up. He said, "Correct. There is killing intent inside the snow. Right now, the entire 4-sect alliance is covered in snow, so this killing intent is very dense." Wang Lin's expression was still the same, as if none of this had anything to do with him. He only quietly listened. Zhu Wutai looked at Wang Lin and continued, "Several of the seniors of the 4-sect alliance have gone out to check. 10,000 kilometers high in the sky, they found one-way transfer rift from cultivators of Xueyu hidden by restrictions. Xueyu cultivators? This was the first time Wang Lin had heard of this. Zhu Wutai took a deep breath and said, Xueyu is another rank 4 cultivation country. They are at the northern border of the continent. That area is covered by ice and snow, and their cultivation is often related to that as well. So whenever Xueyu attacks another country, they use these one-way rifts to cover the country with snow first and then attack. After Zhu Wutai finished speaking, he waved his right hand and the door to the shop opened. He reached out and grabbed a ball of snow. Then, his left hand formed a seal and a ball of fire appeared, releasing waves of heat. "Brother Wang, please look." As he spoke, he pressed the ball of snow and the ball of fire together. The fire fizzled a bit, then went out while the snow didn't melt at all. Wang Lin was immediately startled as this was not something he expected. This snow can't be melted. Once the entire territory of the Four-Sect Alliance is covered in this snow, to the point of forming a plain, that is when Xueyu will attack. Zhu Wutai's voice became even darker. Wang Lin pondered, but didn't speak. Zhu Wutai honestly asked, "Brother Wang, I'm here today to represent the Four-Sect Alliance to invite you to join us. With your cultivation, once you join, the Four-Sect Alliance's strength will increase greatly." Wang Lin looked at him and slowly said, "I'm only a lowly nascent soul cultivator. There are a lot more cultivators with higher cultivation level than me in the Four-Sect Alliance, so I won't make much of an impact." Zhu Wutai wryly smiled. He shook his head and said, "Brother Wang, don't underestimate yourself. With your current cultivation level, you only need a few more years. Once you have reached the soul formation stage, the Four-Sect Alliance will have gained another soul formation cultivator. That is the main reason for me coming here today." Wang Lin pondered a little, then suddenly asked, "Why are the Xueyu cultivators starting a war with the Four-Sect Alliance?" Zhu Wutai looked at the ball of snow in his hand. He hesitated for a moment, then bitterly smiled. "Isn't it always for self-interest? The country of Xueyu is one of the few countries that lack natural resources, but are mysteriously climbing up in strength. In order to gain even more resources and become stronger, they started this war." Wang Lin chuckled. He drank a gulp from his gourd and said, "Brother Zhu, I won't be seeing you to the door." Zhu Wutai's face sank as he stared at Wang Lin and said, "If Brother Wang joins the Four-Sect Alliance, I'll grant you any request that is within my power. Brother Wang, won't you consider it some more?" Wang Lin raised his head and looked at Zhu Wutai. After a long time, Zhu Wutai frowned and said, "Brother Wang, what is the meaning of this?" Wang Lin calmly said, "Brother Zhu, don't treat me like a 3-year-old. Planet Suzaku is large. Why is Xueyu invading here instead of somewhere else? Since Brother Zhu doesn't want to say more, then I won't keep asking." Zhu Wutai pondered for a while, then let out a loud laugh. He looked at Wang Lin, not embarrassed at all, and said, "Please don't blame me, Brother Wang. This matter is just simply too important. So naturally, I'm not willing to lightly reveal it." With that, he stopped talking, clearly waiting for Wang Lin's response. If Wang Lin agreed, he would tell the truth. Wang Lin began to hesitate, as he wasn't interested in getting mixed up with the invasion of the Xueyu cultivators. This was, after all, a battle between two rank 4 cultivation countries. Also, he didn't have a deep relationship with the Four-Sect Alliance, so he was very likely to become a sacrificial pawn if things were to go bad. After a long time, Wang Lin calmly said, "I have to take some time to consider this. I'll give you a reply before the invasion begins." Zhu Wutai also didn't expect Wang Lin to immediately agree, but seeing that Wang Lin didn't even raise any conditions, he was 80% sure Wang Lin wouldn't agree. With this in mind, he stood up, took a deep breath, clasped his hands, and said, "Since it's like this, then I'll wait for Brother Wang's answer." With that, he took out a piece of jade from his bag of holding and continued, "If Brother Wang has a reply, please use this jade to tell me." With that, he clasped his hands again and left. Wang Lin's expression was still the same. There was no change at all. Zhu Wutai picked up his rain cloak, but suddenly paused when he was at the door. He didn't turn around, but slowly said, "Brother Wang, have you heard of the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning celestial doors? Planet Suzaku is close to the rain celestial door." Wang Lin's eyes suddenly lit up. There were mentions of the 4 celestial doors in the memories of the ancient god. The rumor was that these 4 celestial doors have existed since ancient times. Their origins were unknown. But there was one thing for certain, and that was that these 4 celestial doors lead to the ancient celestial realm. After Zhu Wutai finished speaking, he walked out. He placed the rain cloak on and disappeared into the distance. The snow outside became even stronger as the wind raged in the sky. After Zhu Wutai had walked a certain distance, 4 shadows suddenly appeared next to him. After the 4 of them started following behind Zhu Wutai, Their divine senses were all directed at Wang Lin's shop. One of them said, with a cold tone, "Fellow cultivator Zhu, the order given by the Four-Sect Alliance is to kill any suspicious cultivators that entered the country within the last 200 years. Why didn't you act?" Zhu Wutai didn't turn around and sneered. "With just your Four's cultivation, even if I were to help, do you think we could kill him? If he really wanted to wrong us, who could stop him?" Another black-clothed person calmly said, "Not necessarily. Even though the four of us are only at the late stage of nascent soul, if we were to use a formation, unless he is at the soul formation stage, he would die." Zhu Wutai sneered. He waved his sleeves and said, "If you guys want to go, then go. I won't stop you. But that person has a carving of the three uncle masters, so there must be something more to him. I'm not looking for death." The four black-clothed people pondered a bit. They looked at each other, then walked toward Wang Lin's shop without a word. The smile on Zhu Wutai's face became even colder. He stopped and turned around as he wanted to see how these four arrogant guys would be able to beat someone who was almost at the soul formation stage. They thought that if Wang Lin wanted to run, there was no guaranteed way for the four of them to stop him from escaping. As a result, their thought was, there is no reason to cause problems for yourself in the future. As the four of them quickly moved toward Wang Lin's shop, their killing intent immediately increased, and Wang Lin sat inside the shop as he looked at the jug of wine in his hand and let out a sigh. He really didn't want his years of turning into a mortal to be ruined by killing people, but Wang Lin was still Wang Lin. His 400 years of killing had merely been restrained by him and had not disappeared. The four of them didn't know that if they were to continue, they would awaken a monster, a fiend that hadn't killed in decades. But it seemed the four of them were already resolute. The four of them turned into black smoke, which was very noticeable on the snow-covered ground. Wang Lin secretly sighed. His eyes revealed a cold light that hadn't appeared in more than 30 years. This cold light often appeared during his 400 years of killing. Every time it appeared, it meant that someone was going to die, and this time was no exception. Wang Lin's left hand held the wine jug and he took a drink. He stood up and took a step, putting him at the door already as the four black-clothed men approached. The cold light in Wang Lin's eyes deepened as he turned from an old man back into a fiend. At this moment, the snow raged even harder, but when comparing the killing intent in the snow to Wang Lin's killing intent, it was like comparing a pit of fire to the sun. A cold sword doesn't easily exit its sheath. As the four black-clothed men closed in, they all formed strange seals with their hands. At the same time, a low roar came from them as four sword lights, green, red, blue, and purple, shot out and formed a net. The net surrounded Wang Lin. Wang Lin took a large gulp of wine and pointed his finger to the air. The passing of time domain from the carving of the blue-clothed elder suddenly began to spread out, causing the four sword lights to pause. During this delay, Wang Lin's body moved in a strange way and quickly escaped the sword net. When he appeared again, he was already in front of one of the black-clothed men. But when it does, then it will kill. His right hand moved in a way that looked really slow, but was in reality lightning fast. He pointed at the black-clothed man's head. After a cracking sound, he coughed out a mouthful of blood and immediately died. His nascent soul came out and tried to run with a terrified look on its face. Wang Lin didn't even look at him as he turned around and let out a silent roar. During this roar, black smoke appeared above his head. His soul devourer form rushed out and immediately devoured the nascent soul trying to escape. The falling snow didn't dare to approach Wang Lin. Every snowflake moved away from him. It was as if none of them dared to mess with this fiend. This black-clothed man originally wouldn't have died, but he shouldn't have acted against a 400-year-old fiend. If he knew ahead of time, he would have regretted this decision. The remaining three were all terrified. They all slapped their bags of holding to take out their most powerful treasures. One of them, holding an umbrella, saw Wang Lin's head turn toward him. Those cold eyes filled with killing intent made him feel cold for the first time as a cultivator. What was the surrounding snow compared to this? The snow couldn't even compare to 1/10,000th of the coldness from those eyes. He subconsciously bit his tongue and spat out blood. The blood landed on his treasure umbrella. Suddenly, the umbrella opened and a golden snake rushed toward Wang Lin as if it wanted to devour him whole. The remaining two also sent out their treasures. They didn't know that a cold sword doesn't easily leave its sheath, but once it does, it will kill someone and then continue to kill. Wang Lin's eyes showed a hint of mockery. He didn't even look at the golden snake. Instead, he slapped his bag of holding and a small flag appeared in his hand. Suddenly, the flag covered the area in black smoke. Dozens of dragons formed by the smoke came out and smashed the golden snake into pieces. At this moment, the snow in the area began to move even further away, as it didn't dare to close in. At the same time, Wang Lin gently moved forward. He quickly arrived before the black-clothed person with the umbrella. His right hand already held the man's throat and, using a bit of strength, the man's neck broke and he died. Wang Lin gently sighed. I have killed countless nascent soul cultivators. You are not the first. His right hand suddenly entered the man's abdomen and pulled out a terrified nascent soul. The nascent soul was about to escape, but it suddenly began to scream. It screamed because Wang Lin swallowed it whole. At this moment, the remaining two lost all will to fight as they took out their best escaping treasures and ran like stray dogs. But it was too late to escape. A cold sword doesn't easily exit its sheath. When it does, it will kill and continue to kill. Every 10 steps, it will kill someone. Of the two that remained, one of them ran toward Ju Wutai. The other ran in the opposite direction. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he looked at Ju Wutai and casually stepped forward. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 10 steps. Every 10 steps, he will kill someone. Wang Lin only used 10 steps to catch up to the black-clothed man. His eyes revealed a strange light as he sighed. You ruined my mood, so you must die. With that, he casually flicked his right hand, making the G realm shoot out and enter the cultivator's body. The man didn't even have time to let out a sound as he plummeted down from the sky. When he landed, he just happened to land in the pile of snow outside of Da Nyo's ironworks shop. His nascent soul didn't have time to escape. It was destroyed by the G realm. Although Wang Lin's G realm won't kill soul formation cultivators before he obtains the planet treasure of Suzaku, it was more than enough for nascent soul cultivators. After killing 3 people, he turned around and looked at Ju Wutai. Although Ju Wutai's expression was normal, his back was completely drenched in sweat. Seeing Wang Lin's eyes, he didn't hesitate to raise his right hand to stop the black-clothed man from running his way. The black-clothed man panicked and shouted, "What are you doing, Ju Wutai?" Ju Wutai looked indifferently at the man. He let out a faint smile and whispered, "The 4 of you angered Brother Wang. How could I let you leave?" With that, his left hand formed a strange seal. A strange, purple light appeared in his hand. At this moment, the difference between a late-stage nascent soul cultivator and a pseudo-soul formation cultivator was very clear. Ju Wutai's cultivation was only 1 step below Wang Lin's. He had 1 foot in the soul formation realm as well, and he had gained some of his domain. When the purple light appeared, the black-clothed man felt like he had returned to his youth, back when he had just joined the sect and met his master. Although he knew that this was all fake, the feeling was extremely real. An overwhelming feeling spread across his body. By the time he regained his senses, Ju Wutai's right hand was already on his forehead. With a bit of spiritual energy, the black-clothed man coughed out blood and fell to the ground, dead. As for his nascent soul, it was in Ju Wutai's grasp. He crushed it before Wang Lin's eyes. He was using his actions to tell Wang Lin that he had no hand in all of this. It was also to tell Wang Lin that no one will know about this and that he won't have to kill anyone else. The way Wang Lin cleanly killed the 3 of them had caused the proud Zhu Wutai to become completely dumbfounded. If there was only 1 of them, he too could easily kill them. If there were 2, he could barely win. However, if there were 3, then at most he could only reach a stalemate. If there were 4, he could only run. But Wang Lin could casually kill 3 of them. How could Zhu Wutai not be shocked? Wang Lin's body slowly floated down from the sky. The moment he landed in the snow, his figure immediately shrank. He went from a fiend, to a mortal at the end of his days. He cleaned up his clothes and took a drink from his gourd before throwing it at Zhu Wutai. The current him has no different from a mortal. Zhu Wutai caught the gourd and looked at Wang Lin's shop with dread in his eyes. He decided that he had to make Wang Lin a friend, not an enemy. He waved his large sleeves and the 4 bodies of the black-clothed men turned to dust. After that, he quickly moved and left Wang Lin's street. A very short amount of time had passed since Wang Lin had left the shop and came back. He also purposefully controlled himself so that none of the mortals around would notice anything that had happened. At this point, he returned to his shop and sat next to the stove. At this moment, he really looked like an old man as he raised his hands to get warmth from the stove. He quietly sat inside the shop as he quickly searched through the ancient god's memory for memories of the 4 celestial doors. After a long time, the information became more clear in his mind. Just at this moment, the sound of snow falling outside calmed down and the door was pushed open. The smell of roasted chicken came in from outside. At the same time, the dirty old man that hadn't appeared for a long time came in, shaking. After he entered the room, he kicked the door back with this right foot and closed it. He quickly arrived before the stove next to Wang Lin and cursed, "Middle of the night and some brats are fighting outside, and one of them even fell on me. I finally found a good spot to sleep in, too. I'm really unlucky." Wang Lin smiled. He waved his hand and another gourd of wine appeared. He gave it to the old man. The old man accepted it and let out a mischievous smile as he took out half of a roasted chicken from under his clothes. "It seems you're smart enough, kid. Here, I'll split this roasted chicken with you." After he finished speaking, he looked at Wang Lin and the appreciation in his eyes deepened as he said, "Not bad, young man. Your cultivation level has increased again. It seems the soul formation stage is not far away. You can't forget the wood carving you promised me, or else, no matter where you go, I'll find you." Wang Lin faintly smiled and said, "Of course. I won't forget the promise to Senior." The old man tore off a chicken leg and took a bite. "Young man, the four-sect alliance is very chaotic right now. You better hurry up and reach the soul formation stage. Otherwise, with your cultivation level, you won't get anything good out of it." Wang Lin's heart moved as he looked at the old man and asked, "Does Senior know what is happening with the four-sect alliance?" The old man proudly raised his chin and looked at Wang Lin as he said, "There is nothing in this cultivation world this old man doesn't know. It is only that a small cultivator of the four-sect alliance somehow managed to steal a rain cauldron from a cultivator of Shuiyu, so they are here to steal it back. It's only a small matter rain cauldron." Wang Lin pondered for a bit. He suddenly remembered the talk with the large-eared cultivator, Ju Wutai. There was mention of the rain door. The old man quickly ate the chicken leg, then began to eat the chicken neck as he said, "Speaking of this rain cauldron, in truth, there is more than one. I don't know exactly how many there are, but if one possess one, then once the celestial door opens, they can enter. Therefore, it would cause conflict, but, no matter how hard they fight over it, it is pointless as once the rank 5 and 6 countries take notice, it will still end up in their hands." Wang Lin pondered a bit, then slowly said, "The rumor is that the 4 celestial doors lead to the celestial realm, so it is no wonder they fight over it." The old man let out a mischievous smile and said, "What is it, young man? Are you moved?" But sadly, all the of celestials from ancient times are gone. The current celestial realm is empty. Wang Lin was startled. There was no mention of this inside Tu's memory. He paused for a bit before asking, "They all died?" After the old man finished eating the chicken's neck, he tore off a large piece of breast meat. He ate as he said, "Of course they are all dead. Why else do you think soul transformation and above cultivators are still around? Because they have nowhere to go." Wang Lin's heart shook. He already knew that the ancient cultivation world died in a disaster and that was how the cultivation union formed. However, he didn't think that all of the celestials had also died. The old man noticed Wang Lin's shock and was very proud. He finished eating the chicken, let out a burp, and took a drink of wine. He casually wiped his hand on his clothes and said, "Heh, shocking isn't it? All of the ancient gods are dead, and so are all of the ancient celestials. There aren't many ancient cultivators left, which is why the cultivation union appeared and developed once again." Wang Lin became silent as he digested the secret the old man had told him. After a long time, he frowned and asked, "If that is the truth, then why do the 4 celestial doors still exist?" The old man laughed and said, "The ancient celestials are gone, but the celestial realm is still there. However, it is filled with danger. In fact, the celestial realm has shattered into pieces. The 4 celestial doors simply connect to different sections of the celestial realm. But, nevertheless, there are many good things left in there. The most important is the celestial chi. Celestial chi?" Wang Lin's expression changed. The old man regrettably licked his lips and said, "Yeah. That thing is much more delicious than roasted chicken." Wang Lin bitterly laughed. The old man licked his lip and said, "When breaking through from the soul formation stage to the soul transformation stage, unless you have the rare soul transformation pill, then you have to absorb enough of that celestial chi to break through. In ancient times, once one reached the soul formation, they would naturally ascend to the celestial realm. Once there, they had to absorb enough celestial chi. There was no other way." Wang Lin pondered a bit. He faintly smiled and said, "That means that this rain cauldron is really worth fighting for, especially for those soul formation cultivators. Whether it is to raise their own cultivators' level, or for their country's rank to increase, it is a must-have. Will the other 3 types of cauldrons also appear?" The old man picked up the jug of wine, took a drink, then said, "These 4 types of cauldrons appear every once in a long time. They are created from the heavens, so those who obtain it have great luck. The 4 celestial doors cover all of the cultivation planets, so depending on which door they are close to, that type of cauldron will appear." This video will end here. Thank you for watching.